Hey everyone, welcome back to Psalms in Solitude, where we're walking through the Psalms together during this season of coronavirus, where we're unable to meet all together as a church. We have started meeting together at Grace Church, and so we hope that you will join us Sundays at 10:45. We've got everything spread out. We've got plenty of room, and we have everything cleaned up regularly. We have masks available and anything else that you might need. So we hope that you will join us this Sunday. But for now, we're in day 38, and so we come to Psalm 38. The setting of Psalm 38 is one of illness and isolation for David. Some have questioned throughout time whether or not this was actually written by David, because we don't have any account of a sickness that David went through, at least a serious sickness that David went through during his reign. But that's a pretty weak argument. I don't make a habit of writing down when I get sick. And over the course of a 40-year reign packed with things that the Lord did and how the Lord used him, and so many things that happened that were integral to the story of the redemption of God's people, it makes sense that his illness didn't make the highlight reel in those books. And so I think we can trust that when it's written down, this was by David, that it is by David. Another note here before we read is that the title tells us the purpose of this is to bring remembrance. Because God does not break his promises, to bring remembrance is inextricably linked to action. And so while David is calling on God to remember him and remember his illness, remember his isolation, he is also calling on God to remember and to act. These things are connected. I want you to notice as I read, the bulk of this psalm is David reminding the Lord, David recounting what has gone on, what is going on in his life. But throughout the psalm, he continues to come back to the Lord in prayer, to act, to do something. And so I'll try and make a note of those 4 times throughout the psalm. The first one is the very first verse. And so let's read Psalm 38 together. David says, "Lord, do not punish me in your anger, or discipline me in your wrath. For your arrows have sunk into me, and your hand has pressed down on me. There is no soundness in my body because of your imagination. There is no health in my bones because of my sin. For my iniquities have flooded over my head. They are a burden too heavy for me to bear. My wounds are foul and festering because of my foolishness. I am bent over and brought very low. All day long I go around in mourning. For my insides are full of burning pain, and there is no soundness in my body. I am faint and severely crushed. I groan because of the anguish in my heart." Here's the second time, verse 9. "Lord, my every desire is in front of you. My sighing is not hidden from you. My heart races, my strength leaves me, and even the light of my eyes is faded. My loved ones and friends stand back from my affliction, and my relatives stand at a distance. Those who intend to kill me set traps, and those who want to harm me threaten to destroy me. They plot treachery all day long. I am like a deaf person, I do not hear. I am like a speechless person who does not open his mouth. I am like a man who does not hear and has no arguments in his mouth." Here's the third time, verse 15. "For I put my hope in you, Lord. You will answer me, my Lord, my God. For I said, don't let them rejoice over me, those who are arrogant toward me when I stumble. For I am about to fall, and my pain is constantly with me. So I confess my iniquity. I am anxious because of my sin. But my enemies are vigorous and powerful. Many hate me for no reason. Those who repay evil for good attack me for pursuing good." And then David ends the psalm as he began in verse 21. "Lord, do not abandon me. My God, do not be far from me. Hurry to help me, my Lord and my salvation." One of the things that stands out most to me in this psalm is how David is comforted progressively as he prays this prayer, as he speaks to the Lord, as he reminds the Lord. It's almost as if as he reminds the Lord of his situation and prays to the Lord about his situation, he is reminded of the Lord's faithfulness to him. And so notice the change in his demeanor as he addresses the Lord. Just those 4 verses where he addresses the Lord specifically. Verse 1, Lord, do not punish me in your anger or discipline me in your wrath. Then verse 9, Lord, my desire is in front of you. My sighing is not hidden from you. Verse 15, for I put my hope in you, Lord. You will answer me, my Lord, my God. And then in the end, Lord, do not abandon me. My God, do not be far from me. Lord, help me, my Lord, my salvation. By the end of the psalm, David trusts in the Lord again. He's not just calling on the Lord to do something. He's trusting that the Lord will do something. That very action of David casting his cares upon the Lord in prayer comforts him. We've seen throughout the Psalms that David has great faith in the Lord to care for him. And now, even in the very midst of physical illness and social isolation, David trusts the Lord to bring him out. And what a helpful example that is for us today. If you are one that has been struggling with despair, depression over the last few months as you have dealt with isolation, possibly sickness, are you able to, like David, look to the Lord as your comfort? Have you been careful to call out to him in the midst of your distress? Or have you simply been driven to despair, crying out to no one in particular to save you from the mess that you found yourself in? For all of us, no matter what situation we're in, this one or another to come or one in the past, where does prayer to the Lord fit into our thinking when difficulties arise? As Christians, we have unhindered access to the maker of the universe, and we have to ask, do we truly appreciate the lifeline that has been given to us in our access to the Father? Or has it become something that is weird, a little mysterious, something we don't totally understand? And so because of that, we have been unable to figure out and unwilling to try. We can see that David understood the access that he had to his God. David knew his need, and he knew that the Lord was the only one that had a remedy for his need. And so he cried out to him, made his petition known for the Lord to save him. May we be a people of God that do the same thing. We'll see you next time. Psalm 39.